We're on the Wiggly sofa in Lower Blakemere for a podcast special. I love our specials, Rich.
I do too.
Farmer Phil, looking forward to it?
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, I am looking forward to this because I listen to this chap every week.
How come, Phil, you listen to Terry Walton every week?
Well, because I'm now getting on in years and I am an avid Radio 2 listener in my tractor on the Jeremy Vine Show, which is a lunchtime show on Radio 2, news and topical affairs, a bit of music. Every Friday, Terry Walton gives his update on the allotment.
No, he doesn't.
Every second Friday it is.
Is it?
Yeah. So
you must only be in your tractor every 2 weeks and think that you're listening weekly.
That's possibly, but one of my tractors, the display on the radio's gone, so I don't actually know which channel I'm on. I just listen to it.
I thought you listened to the podcast
I do listen to the podcast as well.
There we are. Anyway, Terry Walton is an allotmenteer, I suppose, in the Rhondda.
He is. He's a top bloke, and we're quite lucky to have him as a guest occasionally. So not only is he brilliant on the Jeremy Vine Show, but he's brilliant on the Wiggly Podcast also.
Now, you've been trying to help him make his own podcast, haven't you?
Yeah, he's going to do his own podcast. I mean, Jeremy, in fact, oddly, it was when you went down to that gig, I think we might have mentioned this to the listener before, and Jeremy Vine heard you rattling about the beauties of podcasting and whatnot.
Oh, the Radio Academy at Cambridge.
Right. He went back and he suggested to Terry that he should also start a podcast because it would be great, and not do it with the BBC, do it off his own bat, and then give the listener the opportunity then to go from having listened to his cameo on the Jeremy Vine Show to go to his own sort of half-hour feature.
Well, we would like to say that podcast is up and ready, but I think it may be delayed a little bit because
it's got to be edited, isn't it?
You were in charge of the technical equipment, I think.
Yeah, that is true.
Slight issue with the recording device.
That is true. That's very true. But we've got a couple of features anyway, and he's going to send this off to his man, and hopefully they'll conjure up some brilliant editing and whatnot.
So, if you're listening to this in the year 2010. It's definitely worth checking out the Terry Walton podcast. If you're listening to it in September 2007, have a look, but we don't think it's there yet. In the meantime, let's go down to the Rhondda with Rovin Ricardo reporting again.
Swim away into the allotment.
It was decidedly wet, wasn't it? Yeah, no, it's a much better day actually. It's quite warm still as well, isn't it? For the time of year, it's fantastic.
It's muggy, isn't it?
It is muggy, yeah. It looks glorious. The trees are full, aren't they?
Yeah, look at that over there. I mean, that over there got no sign of autumn, have they?
No, not at all.
There's a little bit of red in amongst them, and largely they still a lovely colour green.
Yeah, no, it's gorgeous.
There we are.
Do you know what spoils that hill? That hill.
Yeah, it does not add to the ambience, does it?
It doesn't. It's interesting how they can do that, because that completely changes the landscape, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I mean it's pretty high, isn't it?
It is. It's astonishing. Right, so we have Wander up there anyway. Yep. Just, nice view. See, that's another thing, McDonald's, not only is it poison, it just adds to the litter problem. Whole pile of stuff. All this pile of stuff here, Terry, isn't it? There's tyres and timber and bits and pieces. Is that for you guys to pillage?
We don't want any. That's not our overflow store. This guy, he collects army vehicles.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why, but he seems to bring them there, get them in as far as he can, and then pile all this rubbish behind it. I'm amazed somebody hasn't set fire to it.
Yeah, no,
it's a massive big blaze whipped through there.
Yeah, it would, yeah.
We had a big fuss years ago because this fence here was looking a bit tatty. Right. They made us put a new green plastic coated fence because it wasn't. I always overgrown with blackberries now.
Yeah.
And they had good protection. But he never said anything to him.
That's kind of weird, isn't it?
But it's a sort of old world charm, isn't it?
Yeah.
You come in, we walk past, it's scrappy.
Yeah, definitely.
People come to the allotments, how do you get to the allotments? You come top of the hill and it's scrappy on your right.
Fantastic. So who's likely to be about today?
Albie's here.
Yeah,
Albie's always here.
Yeah, right. I didn't think I met Albie last time I was here.
If we're lucky, we might get a coffee later on once we've been busy. Well, I've been busy down the house. I got to do this podcast you couldn't do with me last time.
Busy doing your house?
What's all these McDonald's things out here then? We having a party, have you? Happy hour last night. We got all that junk on there. We don't got all these McDonald's vouchers. We can't win, can we? Right, first thing is always open the shed. You always got to open the shed.
Right. So I suppose you get, because you old guys get into habits anyway, don't you? So
yeah, first thing you open the shed.
Yeah.
See we were locked in when you came out last time. Sonny was gone to sleep, but he left him in there. So
yeah.
First thing is open it up and reveal the beauty. Hello, I'm stuck.
all sorts of goodies.
Look at that.
So it's just as crammed full of stuff as it was last time.
Yes. You
can't really move. In fact, there's probably less room for manoeuvring in there now.
Yeah, well, I've been sorting my bulbs are ready to go in, as you can see.
Right.
I got all my onions hanging up in now.
Beautiful.
And it's full of wiggly wiggler stuff. I don't know why. Look at it.
There's a whole.
When I can get rid of that penthouse on top of the wormery, I'll be right. I mean, and of course, I got to give them their treats. I got to give them their pH. You've got to be a doctorate to look after the wormery. I mean, this 9-week course paid off. I mean, but I mean, I got a very, very small amount of potatoes this year because the blight give them holy hell. I've only got those 2 bags there, so winter could be tough. By Christmas, I'll be out in the street selling big issue.
Do you know what? I doubt that.
So I mean, things are not looking good.
So you still got some water there, I see.
Hey, that's new. That wasn't new when you came in. I've had that drum a long time. Between Nuts and myself, I supplied the drum. Right. And then I had the drum downpipe, but I didn't have the connectors. So between us, we've now got another supply of 45 gallons of water. So never going to go thirsty here.
No.
But the amazing bit, all summer long with that lousy weather, trying to grow a squash.
Right.
And that looked dreadful. Yeah. Now we are again checking through September. And what have I got? Squash.
Oh, look, yeah.
But the poor courgette has seen his days, I think, and he's got a bit of mould in him.
Right,
So I don't quite know what we can do with that.
There's quite a few nice chunky ones coming down there, aren't there? Yeah.
Well, if you play your cards right, you might get one to go with.
Oh, fantastic. Do you know what? That's the last thing I need. Another courgette. Oh, God, look at the sprouts, though. Those are huge.
That, they are ready to harvest.
They are whoppers. Those are astonishing. So is that off the back of all that rhubarb juice you keep feeding it?
Yes, and again, but despite all that, because of the wet summer, and even now in the autumn, the top's looking a bit chewed. They're there.
Yeah.
But the
it's funny that these are chewed up here, of course, more than those down there, oddly.
Yeah, I think they prefer the view.
Yeah, that's what else it is.
They can see more. The other caterpillar, they down there. It's a bit, what are you going to look at? It's got a green wall of runner beans, isn't it? There's not much to look out on up here. Down up here, they can look out over this beautiful valley.
There must be something.
They're very fussy. Obviously, Des Res, and
why are there more caterpillars around this year than normal, though?
Well, I think it was a wet summer, and what happened was the early crops in the years, because it was so wet, the caterpillars not too happy flying around. Right. So we didn't get a lot of caterpillars early on. So I think they are procrastinating, and thinking about how they're going to get the population up for next year. So they're having to lay these caterpillars now in prolific amounts. They're going to gorge themselves before the weather turns, and then all up into the eaves to pupate over winter. Right. So next spring we'll have this massive white white butterflies flying around again.
That's astonishingly bad, isn't it? So you don't put any fleece, because lots of folks say if you put fleeces over your brassicas, that protects them from your cabbages. But you don't do that. You don't bother that.
It's a bit of relaxation going on, picking them off and chucking them away.
Right. Yeah.
And so. Yeah. Again, as long as like I'm here every single day, let's have a quick look, see if there's anything on them, shall we?
Yes, let's have a shifty. So all the goods, you picked all your gooseberries as well,
yes, and I've trimmed him back into a nice little shape now.
It is a lovely little shape. Yeah,
so that's ready for next year.
And that's there's that quite important to do, to trim those up.
Yeah, and I think you've got to let the air get into it to stop all the mildew and that. So it's just very important.
Right. Okay.
Give it a while, I'll have it after.
I want to change.
I don't give change. Whatever this brand doesn't give change. You've seen these signs, haven't you? Walk over these are the strawberries.
Oh, right, yeah, strawberries. And what how have the strawberries done this year?
Very good. Despite the wet, look at you can see the weather's completely cockeyed again. Look at that now, we've got flower on there. Yeah, and actually strawberries forming.
That is
the only one disappointment is this. I don't think this will last long enough to actually get them into an edible form. But there's quite a lot on there, isn't there?
It is amazing, really. Yeah. It's kind of weird.
But I think I'm winning this battle. Oh no, look.
Look at all these. There's a whole load on here. Look. You see, what I've found is that it's squishing them is absolutely fine, but you've got to make sure that you don't look too closely, because if the juice squishes into your eye, you get temporary blindness.
I never got that dangerous. You tell me I've got to wear glasses to do this now. Then what? Is that the new plan?
So you've got your strategy of squishing caterpillars is slightly different to mine. You'd pick them off and then squish them. So I've squished them on the leaves.
No, I don't. It makes a mess. I like my sprouts to look clean. I don't want all this messy stuff.
I'm adulterating your sprout. Look at this. That's a weird one.
How did he escape?
Now you see, what's that? That's a different species.
No, that's it. No, there are 3 types of butterfly that actually lay their eggs on the cabbage. Right. Every sort of associated with the cabbage white, which is the bigger one. Yeah. There's a smaller cabbage white, right. And there's another variety which only lays a couple of eggs in the centre. Right. So look at the difference between those two.
They're distinct.
Now, these two I'm not going to squash.
Right.
I'm going to give them a 50-50 chance. They're going over there. If they can walk back, they can have another feed. How's that?
That's right.
You've got to give people a chance.
No one can say you're not. You don't have a sense of decency about you.
The other thing I do as well, I am not.
I've got to say these Welsh caterpillars are pretty huge. I mean, this thing here is probably what's that? 2 inches long.
How do you get that big? And I missed him every day.
That is huge. I mean, it has been. That thing there has been feasting away on these leaves.
Days, haven't I missed
ages.
him.
Yeah.
So again, they're going over there. They're going in front of me. But the other thing that amazes me is where they keep coming from. Because I do this job every day, and I would expect small ones, but I wouldn't expect a monster over an inch long, would it?
They get camoed up, don't they? And they.
This is obviously they're thriving better down this council estate on the bottom here.
These what I'm amazed about the size of these sprout plants, because they are huge. I mean, they're like little miniature trees, really. And the sprouts, they're lovely sprouts as well, nice and hard, aren't they?
This one up here looks really well, doesn't he? I mean, he's a little. Look at the size on them, look.
Yeah, that's massive, and look hard as well.
So, you got a sprout there, make one meal,
That is.
We share that between four. Can we have do you want a quarter of a Brussels sprout?
I'll tell you what, I will take some Brussels sprouts home with me,
Sam, you can have that one. That's enough to feed two of you. That's what they call a Brussels sprout.
It is, actually.
But I tell you one thing I do, and I'm not a complete masochist, I do love the cabbage white butterfly flying around. It's something you don't want to sort of make extinct, do you?
No.
So some of these little ones, old cabbage I'll leave here. I'll leave some of them feed on it, so some of them can survive.
Yeah,
I don't. They're not eating my sprouts.
That's an interesting sentiment, because I feel exactly the same way. It's nice to see those little puffy white things floating around, isn't it, around the garden, because they do sort of animate it a little bit.
Yeah. It'd be a sorry world if we had no wildlife, wouldn't it? So it's a matter of being. This is it's a happy blend between what you can spare and what you can't. It's like the slugs. I don't mind them eating the lower leaves off the Brussels sprouts, but I don't want them eating the Brussels sprouts. So you've got to live and let live to some degree.
Yeah. It's all about balance, isn't it? Living in harmony with the stuff that surrounds you, and of course you're going to have problems with these cabbage white caterpillars, but ultimately, it's nice to share a little bit, I guess.
But again, those big ones at the bottom here would have just about not far off, ready to disappear up the eaves and sort of pupate, would they?
No.
But I've stopped them now, unfortunately.
Their pupated days are over.
I feel sorry though.
They won't be pupated.
Well, no, three of them at a chance. Look at that. Yeah. Every time you look, every time we win I think one more caterpillar
over the hedge. This the old sweet corn's looking. It's okay, isn't it?
This is the mini pops, and it's not okay. Because these are the very fancy ones. You should actually see what happened. They have form, but the kernels are one every mile, so that's not good to anybody. So get rid of that. Complete waste of time.
So you're right.
Not the ones which were in the ground behind you, which you can't see because they're gone.
Right.
They were the major ones, and they were only half a cob, and so you didn't. They never filled tip to toe with the actual kernels. They were only a half.
Okay.
What was there was delicious, but I never had the good cob right throughout.
Okay.
So I got mini pops too big, and the big ones were too small. I mean, there's a contrasting garden.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm have to live on Brussels sprouts now.
I tell you what, I was got home last night and I just flicked the TV on, and first channel I hit was ITV, and there he was, Jeremy Vine and his brother, in front of Chris Tarrant, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Do you know what the first question they were asked was, which vegetable comes as a bulb? And Jeremy had a choice, and he didn't know the answer. He was really struggling with the answer, and I was thinking, where he's not with listeners. He's not been paying attention at all.
Well, I mean, what are we growing this year for him? Especially this year, we are growing Florence fennel.
It is.
No, it's a wonderful little bed of it, doesn't it? I mean, it looks absolutely fine and healthy.
It does look really nice,
really
actually.
Ferny, doesn't it?
It does look gorgeous.
The only thing I'm concerned about what's going to form at the bottom. But I mean, if you don't get the top in growing, then you're unlikely to get the base here. So it's a matter of, I think the top is growing extremely well.
This is astonishing. Did you ever used to grow this stuff when you were growing flowers for flower arranging?
No, I used to grow asparagus fern in them. I could never grow asparagus spears.
Right.
But I could grow asparagus fern, and asparagus fern behind a bunch of sweet peas is the most magnificent sight you can ever get.
Yeah.
And this is very similar to it, but I mean, I never grew that because I never bothered with fennel before. I've grown the herby one, where you can crush the seeds for the aniseed flavour, but I've never grown this Florence one, which makes the large ball, which is supposed to add some exotic flavour to your dishes. So I'm looking forward to that.
Incredibly tasty. So you've been watering
about
these.
15 or something there, so we should be all right. If we can get some decent balls on the bottom of there, we should be right throughout the winter.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic.
But I mean, the site now is looking a bit sort of bedraggled, isn't it?
Peas, and you've got your parsnips.
Yeah, I don't know. What happened with those? My wife when she comes up, she potches around, and I had a small amount of parsnips left in a packet, and she said, "What are you doing with them? We're going to throw them away." "Oh, I'll put them in a pot to give them a chance."
Yeah.
And they came up, and I've transplanted them. I'm not holding any significant hopes for them because they normally fork.
Right.
But even I couldn't bear to throw them away then, so I transplanted them into the soil. But
Yeah.
they're looking all right.
They are.
They might make some nice little tiny ones.
I think you'll have some little tasty treats there.
But what
Definitely.
about this big disappointment, you see? What about this big disappointment? For years and years, I've erected this fleece. I go to a lot of trouble to staple that 24 inches exactly from the ground.
Right.
On the pretext I've been trained that the carrot root fly only flies 21 inches. What have they done this year? They've managed to get up on the greenhouse roof, they've paraglided and landed into the middle of the fleece. And what have we got in here? Not too many, but some of them come in here and they thrive, because you look at it in there, you've got the telltale red and not yellow sign.
Okay.
But the one thing that's interesting, and very interesting, when you actually pull the carrot, they obviously didn't have too much infestation, because right in the tip you got them, look.
Yes.
But the main carrot is okay.
Ain't that strange?
So in a bit of chaos, they can have the tip, I'll have the rest. So
yeah.
I think it's a good deal.
That's very strange.
I think we got a fine deal here. So
I don't
we'll
think
chuck
I've ever
those
seen
away.
more peculiar looking carrots.
I mean, peculiar looking carrots grown in well soil. It's not a peculiar. It's truth. What do you expect? I'll show you the specials now.
Right.
I have a foolproof method in a 45-gallon drum.
Right.
But I tell you what, come on.
It's fantastic. It is looking good though, and you've got all your green ryegrass coming through. You've had to
I got a little lawn coming out. So
Yeah, you have, yeah.
Now, timing is all.
You see, if you didn't know better, you'd say, "Why have you sowed that with grass seed?"
Yeah. Why is all these weeds growing there?
Yeah.
But I mean, I've used gallons and gallons and gallons of water this September to get that to come up.
Right,
But
nice.
It's looking like a billiard table now, isn't it?
It is.
I think we'll have
coming
Jimmy White
beautifully.
to come and open it shortly. We're going to come.
Definitely.
I think we've been called now. I think it's a cup of coffee.
Oh, right,
We can have
fair
a
play.
short delay.
Let's go and meet Albie. Didn't have
the best coffee in this country. You outsold Costco, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah. A bid from Starbucks, we turned that down.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, so this is kind of pretty much directly opposite your lot.
You come any closer, could you?
You can
Very difficult to get any work done next to the coffee.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, no, this is a treat. Look at this.
Now, Richard.
Hello, Albie.
All right.
Nice to meet you. I was looking at you. There's amazing peppers you've got growing there.
Yeah, there's some beauties there.
They are beauties, yeah. There's got to be 8 inches long, some of those.
Yeah, the ones on the other plant, the gypsy ones, they were magnificent. I even had to beg and borrow one off him.
Really?
Mine weren't ready.
God, there's all sorts of stuff going on. Actually, now I'm becoming acclimatised to this room, which is really warm, isn't it? A beautiful, warm little room. And there's a whole load of cucumbers and stuff growing over there as well. Tomatoes, cherry tomatoes.
Do you want sugar?
Yes, please. Yeah, sugar would be great.
One or two?
Just one, please.
Do you want a hot steam pie and chips or not?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, it is.
Place the order. His waitress comes in about 12 o'clock, so you have to go wait for a bit before she arrives. This is more famous than the cafe used to be on the last of the summer way. Remember they used to meet there at the cafe there?
Yeah.
Well, more people come to this cafe in the summer, never went to that.
I bet they do.
We've got some real good cook meals in here.
I'm looking forward to this coffee. We'll have this coffee and then we'll
go and look at the rest of the stuff. Shall we?
Albie, that was beautiful coffee. Thank you very much. Well, I think we're going to go on a worm mission now, are we?
On a worm mission. Go and get it.
I'll see you in a bit.
Let's have a look how this worm develops into your
I'll tell you what, those tomatoes are gorgeous, aren't they? They're sweet as.
That's grown on worm pea.
Yeah, is that right?
Makes a big difference.
Do you think it's made a big difference to the tomatoes this year?
I think it has, because what I've done on this one, I stopped using any sort of other types of feeds at all.
Right.
I did use a bit of organic seaweed at the beginning to feed them on.
Right.
But ever since, because this has been coming down regularly in the tank,
right.
I fill it up half in the watering can, and every time I water, I give them a feed of that.
Give them a feed.
Yeah.
Right,
so.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, that's the general idea.
Yeah, that's right. So, but it's worked extremely well. I mean, all the stuff around you has thrived on what's been in here.
Fantastic.
So are we going to go into this wormery now?
Yeah, let's go and let's get see. Because it's been a while since I've seen these guys.
Now it's on second station now. I haven't quite reached the penthouse yet, but they have filled the bottom one.
Okay.
Now one problem as I take his top off.
Right.
The one Welsh one has taught the rest of to sing, so you might get a bit of Callan Lawn, or we'll keep a welcome in the wormery when it's open this now. Got a few flies in there, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah. That's.
But look, there's worms in here.
Oh, fantastic! They're doing well in there, aren't they?
Are you going to count these for me now? How many did you bring last time? 1,000, wasn't it?
They're enjoying themselves. miles.
Look at that. I mean,
and they're very fat, aren't they? They're seriously chubby worms now.
they're looking really well.
Do you think
now,
they've been? Are they been long enough to be called Welsh now? Or?
Oh yeah, they definitely. I think this must be the second generation now.
Right.
I mean, they whistle in Welsh now, so they do extremely well. You know, when I open this and when I add in this little feed from, you have to add this pH and this little treat you give them now and then.
Yeah, that's right.
And they are quite happy, and they're all singing away. And they,
you know what? They're
whistling while they're working. So
it's the way you've looked after them is obviously pretty spot on, because those are seriously content worms, and there's some really chubby worms in there as well, much larger than the one when I first dropped them off. So you've eaten them on some good stuff, definitely.
Well, I was a bit worried when you dropped them off. They looked a bit sort of underweight to me. They're all about a size 10, but they're about an 18 now, I think. You know, and they only one thing now. I'm asking you a few questions now, because this is all new. Let me put this back, because I don't want to sit in the sun getting a tan.
Right.
So let's have a look at the bottom first.
Let's have a look at it. So that's
so we got a nice
look at that. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. I'll tell you what, I'd be pleased. There's a few. Dropping a few down here. Let me just pick up a couple. Don't want to lose them. I think we might have lost that one because he's almost decapitated. But I say we'll toss him.
But I mean, there's not too much. Don't chuck him down there. Make a sense. Walk on. Chucking these worms around willy-nilly. What the hell's going on? Well,
I went.
Some nice looking stuff in there.
There's some absolutely gorgeous looking stuff. I mean, for really all intents and purposes, you could use that for the garden. But and actually, until you've got a penthouse suite on there, I guess it's worth.
That's going to stay there. That's next spring's. Mix up with my compost, 50-50 now as my growing medium.
Seriously happy wigglers. Yeah.
I mean, a couple of questions now. Then, I'm going on a holiday now for a couple of weeks,
right.
And I'm a bit worried. Do I have to get a worm setter in, or can they look after themselves?
It might be worth just mentioning it to Albie that they might need a little bit of food, but actually 2 weeks, no problem at all. Just stock it up a little bit.
Put a bit more compost in before I go.
Put some nice shredded paper. I mean, I see you've got some kitchen towels in here and stuff like that.
So a bit of shredded paper from my
roll holders and things. That's superb. Yeah, they're like that.
So if I top it up the day before I go, they should be quite content. I don't need to employ a worm sitter to sit alongside this while I'm away.
No, you could, but you probably don't need to. So
do I have to tell them I'm going in case he's in touch?
I think it'd be worth doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want anything happening when I'm away.
I think it seems as though you forged a real bond here. So it would be a shame that if you didn't mention to them that you were away for a bit.
I covered the whole alphabetic book of names to give all as a name. Everyone got a name, and they're all distinctive to me. So when I check the treat in, you call out 1,000 names and they all congregate in a decent order.
I wouldn't be surprised if you had tried to do something similar.
But I mean, the other thing now, I mean, what happens in the winter with this now? Do I do anything special? Because I mean, we're coming into September now.
Right.
I mean, do I have to wrap them up warm at night?
I think just before the first frosts, if you're likely to get. Do the frost roll off the valley though, down into the bottom though?
Yes.
So you don't. Not too bad up here, is it really?
Well, no. I mean, and it's pretty set. It's pretty sheltered, where you can see it there. But I mean, it will have a few severe nights. Will they be unhappy in there in the cold?
I think it'll be fine in here, but I reckon it might be worth just popping some bubble wrap around there or something like that.
Just to keep them. I got plenty.
I'm sure
of that.
You can get some second-hand
I can get plenty of that. I got plenty of bubble wrap.
Yeah.
But I don't need to buy from Wiggly's the worm water bottle, do I?
No need for that. That's interesting.
That's a new idea there. Worm water bottles.
I'll see you right for that, Terry.
There should be definitely a need for them. It can be quite chilly on this Rhondda hillside during the winter.
Absolutely. But
so they will slow
down a little bit, and they won't need so much food. But I think they'll be perfectly all right in this situation. Just imagine that they're going to slow down, but just imagine that it is going to be a bit colder for them, and of course they are living creatures, so they do need a little bit of support sometimes.
They need some TLC now and again.
Yeah,
I don't need to go around and stroke them all and give them a sort of warm glow.
Talking to them is probably quite nice. They're probably stimulated by your dulcet tones, actually. Like plants. I imagine you probably wander in there a bit in amongst the tomatoes, do you?
Well, I don't know. I cursed a bit at the potato blight this year. I mean, that didn't work. It just got more rampant. Obviously, bad language and blight don't go down together.
That's right.
So you reckon that's looking quite happy, is it?
I think that's absolutely superb. Yeah, because you're ready for the third tray just now, aren't you? I
don't think I'll put that on before I go. No, I think I'll leave those there.
I think when you get back there, in all honesty, if you scratch a little bit off the top, you could probably be almost ready to put the third tray on.
So, how do they decide who lives in the penthouse on these worms? There
might be a little bit of a pecking order. I'm not entirely sure. It remains to be seen.
So do the worm ever get overcrowded? I mean, do the parents around say the kids clear off? It's not ruined. Go and find your own worm.
Time to move on. No, I don't think they do. I think they like to keep their family around them all the time.
So they'll all just stay in there and not disappear then. So I won't have a little stream of kids walking down the garden, suitcase in hand, looking for a new home. And no problem with that at all.
No, if you do, just give me a shout, because I'd definitely like to get a photograph of that.
Well, I mean, I'll let you know if I get a little stream of worms walking down there.
Yeah, I do.
I mean, they're quite happy there. I mean, they've got plenty of stuff around them, haven't they?
Yeah, they are.
But any other beautiful sight there. What do you think of those parsnips.
They're stunning. Yeah, they are beautiful. So you're going to have some real juicy parsnips there.
And that again has benefited from the worm weed. Anything close by, even though it's been a wet summer, I still like to top feed with that stuff on a regular basis. So I don't need the water, but I actually top feed with it.
Right.
So they've had a good feed of that, and they were really struggling early on. But I'm very, very pleased with them now. So I think we're going to have some good stuff there.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
It does look good. I mean, the garden looks great, actually. Allotment, rather. It looks superb. There's all sorts of treats coming in here. And obviously you've got a couple of patches there you're putting down to ryegrass now.
Yeah.
Beans are almost finished.
Yeah, I'm looking a bit sorry for myself now. I mean, the French beans this year really suffered. They like the warmer, hotter climate to really thrive. The runner beans seem to survive everything thrown at them, and I filled the freezer with them. But French beans, we've had nothing on the bottom 4 foot. The wind ripped the leaves off, spoilt them all. But on the top, just above the wire there, the top 2.5, 3 foot, I've had a reasonable picking of them.
Yeah.
And I like the French bean. It's a totally different flavour. Those round ones are nice, fleshy. They never go tough. They never go stringy.
Right.
So you can really enjoy them.
And do you keep the seed for the next year?
No, I don't do that, because if you look around here, all these plots are growing acres of runner beans and French beans, and that bee doesn't differentiate, so he goes from one to the other. So you'll have a United Nations runner bean if you're not careful. So
really?
for the sake of a pie, another packet, which we get quite cheap because we have big discounts. Then I will start afresh. Yeah, I used to in the old days. When I started, everybody grew Scarlet Emperor.
Right.
On new allotments had Scarlet Emperor because the allotments bought them in a big bag.
Yeah.
Everybody bought them off the allotments, weighed out, and everybody grew the same. So when the bee moved around, he was pollinating like with like. But now, I mean, I'm going to clue what he's doing. There must be 30 to 40 varieties of running beans in this allotment, no?
Yeah.
And then the bean don't say, oh, that's a Polestar and that's a Stenner, and I go this one, oh, I missed that one. He gets confused.
So the whole thing's bastardised.
I don't keep on doing.
Yeah. So
you can't use that much of this.
That's all right.
These plants not used to that. It's a Welsh Baptist allotment.
There was
a parsnip. He twitched.
I was just clocking some of these fantastic blackberries you've got down here. You've been picking these, well, I can see.
Yeah, just about finished now. We've had some very, very nice blackberry and apple tart. We've got some blackberry jam on the go there. But again, no, they were picking very, very early this year. I think I picked the first blackberry at the end of July and picked steadily throughout all of August, and my wife picked the last one yesterday. Well, she swam across and picked the last one yesterday. We had a bit of an accident. I got a pond at the bottom, and you can see it's a bit overgrown now with this time of year. It needs a clean out and a sorting out.
Yeah.
And it runs right alongside where the blackberries are.
Right.
And despite warning me on several occasions, you don't fall in the pond, we came up with my granddaughter yesterday, and as you can see, I keep a bed of nettles there for the various insects.
Yes, yeah.
She stung herself on those nettles, screamed out. My wife stepped forward to see what was the matter and landed up standing in my pond. So Albie's now got a little red shirt now with lifeguard written on the back, and I'm going to get a pair of steps alongside. So when there's visitors, they'll have a lifeguard on duty at all times.
Yeah, superb.
Oh yeah, that or a sign saying swimming at your own risk.
Yeah. That's fantastic. I'm glad I've come down anyway. It's just a real treat. It's great to see. It's great to see how this is planned out as well. I don't know. Gosh, when's the next? I suppose next time I'll have to come and visit you will be in the spring.
The spring, we'll see if those worms have survived the Welsh winter and have thrived in this extra cold climate. I mean, they're used to the likes of Hereford and all the southeast where it's all mollycoddle, but down here they're going to have to be real tough. If they survive a Welsh winter, they'll do well. Do we have to have a roll call in the spring and to see who's died and who's gone then?
Yeah, we could.
I don't want to order 250
I can't
worm
wait.
coffins to carry them out in the middle of next spring,
I don't think you'll have to worry about it. You'll be fine.
But again, I mean, the winter stuff's coming on nicely as well. There's some nice looking Swedes coming along there.
They are.
The traditional Welsh leek.
And you've got some nice salads coming in there as well.
Yeah, that's a bit crazy again. I mean,
Yeah.
coming to the end of the season again, these are sort of sat there. But now all of a sudden I got a nice crop of Lalo Rosso and iceberg lettuce. So
Yeah.
we'll keep going a bit longer into the winter with a bit of salad material.
Yeah, make the most of it, I guess.
That's right. But then you can see the rest of the ground is now becoming a wide open expanse of ground.
Yeah.
The first sort of ryegrass is in, and that large area you see there
Yeah.
will be planted now. First little drop of rain we get.
Right.
I think it's
And you'll
amazing at the moment. You can see it's like a parched desert again, isn't it?
It is.
Here we are mid-September, having gone through the wettest summer on record, and we've got a parched area of the ground.
Yeah.
But still, we've done well, I think. I've been quite pleased with this year's performance.
Yeah. Overall, do you reckon?
Yes, overall. I mean, other than potatoes, which suffered with blight, everything else looking good. And I've got plenty of nice-looking winter vegetables coming along, ready to fill the plates throughout the winter to supplement the stuff I've stored and frozen.
Yeah.
So I think with a bit of luck, other than a few potatoes, we will be feeding from the allotments for the next 6 months until next spring, well into next spring again.
Right.
Yeah, so we're looking good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, should we go and have another cup of coffee with Albie?
Why not? That sounds a good idea after all this talking. And
Yeah.
the voice begins to go.
Excellent.
Thank you very much. That's the end of the Wiggly Podcast for this week. You have been listening to Heather
And Richard.
And Farmer Phil.
on the Wiggly Sofa in Blakemere. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye from me.